Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The sun sets behind the ancient castle, casting long shadows across the cobblestone path leading up to its grand entrance. Its towering spires and ivy-clad walls seem to whisper secrets of a bygone era. Emma and I have always shared a love for history, and this weekend getaway was supposed to reignite the spark in our marriage. Little did I know, it would mark the beginning of the end. "Welcome, everyone," announces Martin, our enthusiastic tour guide, his voice echoing off the stone walls. "Today, you'll be exploring parts of the castle that are still undergoing restoration. But don't worry, I've got some fascinating stories to share." Emma stands close to me, her fingers loosely intertwined with mine. She seems unusually quiet, her gaze darting around as if searching for something, or someone. "Let's start with the Great Hall," Martin continues, leading us through a massive wooden door that creaks ominously as it opens. The hall is magnificent, with high ceilings, grand chandeliers, and walls adorned with portraits of stern-faced aristocrats. Martin regales us with tales of the castle's storied past, but my mind is elsewhere. Emma's hand slips from mine, and I notice her glancing at Martin with a peculiar intensity. "We're going to split up now," Martin announces after a while. "Feel free to explore the East Wing. There's a section that's still being restored, but it's worth a look. Just be careful and don't stray too far." Emma leans in close, her breath warm against my ear. "I need to use the restroom," she whispers. "I'll catch up with you in a bit." "Sure," I reply, watching as she walks away. Something about her demeanor unsettles me, but I shake it off and join the group heading towards the East Wing. The corridors are narrow and dimly lit, with the smell of dust and aged wood permeating the air. We pass through a series of rooms, each more fascinating than the last. However, my thoughts keep drifting back to Emma. She has been gone for a while now. As we approach a room with a sign reading, "Restoration in Progress, Do Not Enter," I hear it, faint, but unmistakable, strange noises coming from inside. The sound of low murmurs and the unmistakable creak of an old bed. "Is everything all right?" asks an elderly woman beside me, her eyes wide with concern. "Yeah, just thinking," I mutter, stepping closer to the door. Curiosity gnaws at me. I push the door open slightly and peer inside. The sight that greets me makes my blood run cold. There, on a bed that must be over 100 years old, is Emma. Her dress is hiked up, and she's straddling Martin, who lies beneath her, half naked and grinning like a Cheshire cat. For a moment, I'm paralyzed by shock. The world seems to tilt, and all I can hear is the pounding of my own heart. Then, anger floods through me, hot and blinding. "Emma!" I bellow, kicking the door open. They both jump, scrambling to cover themselves. Emma's eyes are wide with horror, and Martin's face pales as he stammers, This isn't what it looks like." "Really?" "Because it looks like my wife is cheating on me with a sleazy tour guide in a room that's off limits," I snap, my voice shaking with fury. Emma scrambles off Martin, her face flushed with shame. "James, I can explain." "Explain?" I bark. "Explain how you could do this to me. To us." She opens her mouth, but no words come out. Instead, tears spill down her cheeks, and she looks away, unable to meet my gaze. Martin hastily pulls on his shirt, his face a mask of fear. "Please, let's talk about this. There's no need to make a scene." "Make a scene?" I laugh bitterly. "You think I'm worried about making a scene after what I've just seen?" I storm out of the room, leaving them to their hurried attempts at dressing. The other tourists in the corridor stare at me, whispering amongst themselves. I don't care. I need air. I need to think. Outside, the night air is cool and bracing. I take deep breaths, trying to calm the storm raging inside me. How could she? After everything we've been through. My thoughts are interrupted by a gentle touch on my arm. It's the elderly woman from before. "Are you all right, dear?" she asks kindly. "No," I admit, my voice breaking. "But I will be." As I stand there, staring at the castle bathed in moonlight, a plan begins to form in my mind. Revenge, not just for the betrayal, but for the humiliation. Martin and Emma won't get away with this. Their reputations, their lives, they'll pay for what they've done. "Are you ready to go?" Emma's voice is soft, hesitant. She's standing a few feet away, her eyes pleading for forgiveness. "Yes," I reply, my tone icy. "Let's go." We leave the castle grounds in silence, but my mind is anything but silent. I know what I have to do. The road ahead will be dark and twisted, but I'm ready. This is just the beginning. As the car pulls away from the ancient castle, I take one last look at its towering spires. The secrets it holds are nothing compared to the ones I'm about to unravel. Emma and Martin's betrayal will be the catalyst for their downfall. And I will be the architect of their destruction. The ride back to our hotel is suffocatingly silent. Emma sits beside me, her hands clenched in her lap, eyes fixed on the passing scenery. The tension between us is a palpable force, making every second feel like an eternity. I can barely look at her, my mind replaying the image of her betrayal over and over again. We arrive at the hotel, a charming, historic building that now feels tainted by the day's events. As soon as we enter our room, Emma turns to me, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "James, please," she begins, her voice trembling. "Can we talk about this?" I glare at her, the anger still simmering beneath the surface. "Talk. About what, Emma? About how you betrayed me. About how you threw away our marriage for a cheap fling." She flinches at my words, tears welling up again. "It wasn't like that. I don't know what came over me. I'm so sorry." "Sorry?" I scoff. Sorry doesn't even begin to cover it. She breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably. Part of me wants to comfort her, to hold her and tell her everything will be all right. But I can't. The wound is too fresh, too deep. "I need some air," I mutter, grabbing my coat and heading for the door. Outside, the night is cool and quiet. I walk aimlessly, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. Betrayal, anger, hurt, they all blend together, making it hard to think clearly. I need a plan, a way to make them pay. As I wander through the town, I find myself in front of a small pub. The warm light and muffled sounds of laughter draw me in. I take a seat at the bar and order a drink, hoping the alcohol will help numb the pain. "Rough night?" the bartender asks as he hands me a whiskey. "You could say that," I reply, taking a long sip. The burn is both comforting and distracting. A man sitting a few stools down turns to me, a sympathetic look on his face. "Want to talk about it?" "Sometimes it helps." I glance at him, debating whether to open up to a stranger. He looks trustworthy enough, with kind eyes and an easy smile. "My wife cheated on me," I blurt out. "With our tour guide, in an ancient castle, no less." He whistles softly. "That's rough, man. I'm sorry to hear that." "Yeah," I mutter, staring into my glass. "I don't know what to do." "Revenge," he says simply. "Sometimes, it's the only way to move on." His words resonate with me. "Revenge, huh?" He nods. "I'm Greg, by the way. I run a security company. We deal with sensitive matters from time to time." "James," I introduce myself, shaking his hand. "What kind of sensitive matters?" Greg leans in, lowering his voice. "Infidelity, corporate espionage, you name it. We gather evidence, provide protection, even, ruin reputations, if needed. My heart races. This is exactly what I need. Can you help me? He smiles. Tell me everything. We spend the next hour discussing my situation, every detail of Emma's betrayal, and my desire for revenge. Greg listens intently, offering suggestions and strategies. By the time I leave the pub, I have a plan. Back at the hotel, Emma is sitting on the edge of the bed, her eyes red-rimmed and puffy. She looks up as I enter, hope flickering in her gaze. James, please. Let's try to work this out. I've made a decision, I say, my voice cold and steady. We're done, Emma. I'll be filing for divorce as soon as we get back. Her face crumples, and she bursts into tears again. No, please. We can fix this. I love you. Love? I laugh bitterly. You have a funny way of showing it. She sobs uncontrollably, but I feel no sympathy. My mind is already focused on the next steps. I send a quick text to Greg, confirming our plan. The next morning, I meet Greg at a cafe. He introduces me to his colleague, Laura, a sharp-eyed woman with a no-nonsense attitude. She's our tech expert, Greg explains. She'll help us gather the evidence we need. Laura nods at me. We'll need access to your wife's phone and any other devices she uses. We can clone them and monitor her communications. Fine, I agree. What about Martin, the tour guide? Greg smirks. We'll take care of him. We have ways of digging up dirt. Everyone has skeletons in their closet. Over the next few days, Laura works her magic, cloning Emma's phone and setting up surveillance. Greg's team starts digging into Martin's background, looking for anything we can use against him. The anticipation of revenge keeps me going, giving me a sense of purpose. Emma tries to talk to me several times, but I keep my distance, focusing on the plan. Each time I see her, the image of her with Martin flashes in my mind, fueling my resolve. A week later, Greg calls me with good news. We've got enough, he says. Emma's been texting Martin, trying to cover their tracks. And we found some interesting things about Martin's past. Perfect, I reply, a grim satisfaction settling over me. Let's do this. We lay out the plan in detail. Greg's team will leak the evidence of Emma and Martin's affair to their respective workplaces, ensuring maximum damage to their reputations. They'll also spread rumors about Martin's unsavory past, effectively ruining his career. On the day everything goes down, I feel a mix of nervous excitement and cold determination. Emma is at work when the first wave hits. I can almost picture her face as the news spreads, her phone lighting up with calls and messages. By the time she comes home, she's a wreck. James, did you do this? She demands, her voice shaking with anger and fear. Do what? I ask innocently. Don't play dumb, she screams. My boss called me in, showed me those texts. Martin's been fired, and they're talking about pressing charges for something he did years ago. This is your doing, isn't it? I stare at her, feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction. Consider it my parting gift. Her face crumples, and she collapses onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. Why? Why would you do this? Because you betrayed me, Emma, I say coldly. And now you get to live with the consequences. We sign the divorce papers the next day. The process is swift and merciless, just like my revenge. Emma leaves, and I watch her go, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness. As the dust settles, I meet Greg and Laura one last time. Thank you, I say, shaking their hands. I couldn't have done this without you. Greg nods, a satisfied smile on his face. Anytime, James. Just remember, sometimes the best revenge is moving on and living well. I nod, knowing he's right. The path ahead is uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe again. The castle, the betrayal, the revenge, it's all behind me now. And as I step into the future, I vow to never let anyone hurt me like that again. The days following the divorce are a blur of paperwork and awkward encounters. Emma moves out, leaving behind an apartment filled with memories now tainted by betrayal. I focus on rebuilding my life, but the anger still simmers beneath the surface. One evening, Greg calls me. "James, we need to meet. There's something you need to see." Curiosity piqued, I agree to meet him at a small cafe on the outskirts of town. As I enter, I spot Greg and Laura at a corner table, their expressions serious. "What's going on?" I ask, taking a seat. Greg slides a folder across the table. "We've been monitoring Martin, as you requested. It turns out he's involved in more than just cheating with your wife." I open the folder, my eyes scanning the documents inside. There's evidence of financial fraud, shady dealings, and connections to some unsavory characters. "What the hell is this?" I mutter. "Martin's been playing a dangerous game," Laura explains. "He's not just a sleazy tour guide. He's mixed up with some very bad people. And now, they know about us." A chill runs down my spine. "What do you mean?" "We intercepted some communications," Greg says, leaning in. "They're looking for the people who exposed him. That means you, James. You're in danger." The weight of his words sinks in. The revenge I thought was complete has spiraled into something far more dangerous. "What do we do?" "First, we need to make sure you're safe," Laura says. "I've arranged for you to stay at a secure location for a while. We need to figure out our next move." Reluctantly, I agree. Greg and Laura drive me to a secluded cabin in the woods, well equipped with everything I need to stay off the grid. "We'll check in regularly," Greg assures me. "Stay here, stay safe, and we'll handle the rest." Days turn into weeks as I adapt to my new life of isolation. The solitude gives me plenty of time to think, to reflect on everything that's happened. One evening, as I'm sitting by the fireplace, my phone buzzes. It's a message from Greg. "We need to talk. Urgent." I call him immediately. "What's going on?" "Martin's disappeared," Greg says, his voice tense. "We think he's gone underground. But before he vanished, he left a message for you." My heart pounds in my chest. "What kind of message?" "Meet me at the cafe tomorrow at noon. I'll explain everything then." The next day, I drive into town, my mind racing with possibilities. When I arrive at the cafe, Greg is already there, looking more serious than I've ever seen him. "What's this about?" I ask, sitting down. Greg hands me a note. "We found this at Martin's apartment. It's addressed to you." I unfold the note, my hands shaking. The message is short but chilling. "You ruined my life, James. Now I'm going to ruin yours. Watch your back." I look up at Greg, my mind reeling. What does he mean? "He's making it personal," Greg says grimly. "And he's not alone. His associates are dangerous, and they're coming for you." Fear knots in my stomach, but anger quickly follows. "We need to stop him." Greg nods. "We've already started. Laura's tracing his contacts, and we're setting up surveillance. But we need to be careful. These people play dirty." As the days pass, Greg and Laura work tirelessly to track down Martin and his associates. They uncover a network of criminals involved in various illegal activities. The deeper they dig, the more dangerous it becomes. One evening, as I'm going through the documents Greg gave me, my phone rings. It's Laura. "We've got a lead," she says. "Martin's been spotted at a warehouse on the outskirts of town. We're planning to raid it tonight." I'm coming with you, I say immediately. James, it's too dangerous. I don't care, I interrupt. This is my fight too. Reluctantly, Laura agrees. I meet her and Greg at a rendezvous point, where we gear up and go over the plan. The warehouse is heavily guarded, but we've got a team of professionals with us. As we approach the warehouse, adrenaline surges through my veins. The plan is simple: get in, find Martin, and get out. We move in silently, taking out guards one by one. The warehouse is a maze of crates and machinery, making it easy to get lost. Suddenly, we hear voices. Greg signals for us to stop, and we listen. It's Martin, talking to someone on the phone. "I'll take care of it," he says. James won't know what hit him. Rage flares within me, but I force myself to stay calm. We move closer, inching our way towards the sound. Finally, we see him, pacing back and forth with his phone pressed to his ear. Greg signals for me to hang back as he and Laura move in. They take Martin by surprise, pinning him to the ground before he can react. I step forward, my heart pounding. "Martin," I say coldly. His eyes widen in shock and fear. "James, this isn't what it looks like." "Save it," I snap. "You threatened me. You threatened my life." Greg and Laura secure Martin and start interrogating him. Under pressure, he spills everything: his connections, his plans, and the identities of his associates. It's enough to dismantle his entire operation. As we leave the warehouse, I feel a strange mix of relief and exhaustion. The danger isn't completely over, but we've taken a significant step towards ending it. Greg and Laura promise to keep me updated as they continue to clean up the mess. Back at the cabin, I finally allow myself to relax. The fight isn't over, but for the first time in weeks, I feel a sense of hope. Emma's betrayal, Martin's threats, they've all led to this moment. And as I look out at the peaceful woods surrounding me, I realize that I'm ready to move forward. The path ahead is still uncertain, but I know one thing for sure: I'm not going to let the past define me. With Greg and Laura by my side, I'm ready to face whatever comes next. The shadows of retribution may linger, but I'm determined to step into the light. The weeks following the raid on the warehouse are tense. Greg, Laura, and I work relentlessly to dismantle Martin's network, each day bringing us closer to eliminating the threats he posed. Despite the progress, a nagging feeling lingers in the back of my mind. Something still feels off. One evening, as I sit in the cabin reviewing the latest reports, my phone buzzes. It's Laura. "We need to meet. There's something important you need to see." Curiosity and unease gnaw at me as I drive to our usual meeting spot, a nondescript office building on the outskirts of town. Greg and Laura are already there, their expressions grave. "What's going on?" I ask, taking a seat. Laura places a thick file on the table. "We've been digging deeper into Martin's background and his recent activities. We found something unexpected." I open the file and start reading. At first, it looks like more of the same: records of illegal activities, connections to shady characters. But then I see it: a series of emails between Martin and someone using the alias E. Who is E? I ask, my heart pounding. Greg and Laura exchange a look. "We believe E is Emma," Laura says quietly. Shock and disbelief wash over me. "Emma? No, that's not possible. She wouldn't." "Read the emails," Greg interrupts. "It's all there." With trembling hands, I go through the emails. They reveal a plan that started long before our trip to the castle. Emma and Martin had been conspiring together, their affair just a small part of a larger scheme to defraud Martin's associates and pin the blame on me. Anger and betrayal surge through me, stronger than ever before. "She set me up," I whisper, my voice filled with rage. Yes, Laura confirms. And it gets worse. Martin was just a pawn. Emma was the mastermind behind everything. I can't believe what I'm hearing. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, was capable of such deceit. Where is she now? I demand. We've traced her to a safe house outside the city, Greg says. But we need to be careful. She's dangerous. I stand up, determination coursing through me. Let's go. We drive to the location, a secluded house hidden among the trees. As we approach, Greg and Laura brief me on the plan. We'll move in quickly, secure Emma, and get the answers we need. The house is dark and silent as we make our way inside. My heart races, the adrenaline pumping through my veins. We split up, each of us taking a different route through the house. As I move through the rooms, the reality of Emma's betrayal sinks in deeper. Finally, I find her in a small, dimly lit room. She's sitting at a desk, her back to me, typing furiously on a laptop. She doesn't hear me approach until it's too late. Emma, I say, my voice cold and steady. She freezes, then slowly turns to face me. Her eyes widen in shock, but she quickly recovers, a smirk playing on her lips. James. I didn't expect to see you here. Cut the crap, Emma, I snap. I know everything. The emails, the plan to set me up, it's over. Her smirk fades, replaced by a look of genuine fear. James, it's not what you think. I can explain. Explain? I laugh bitterly. You think you can explain away months of lies and betrayal? She stands up, taking a step towards me. I never wanted to hurt you. Martin was the real threat. I was trying to protect us. Protect us. I repeat, incredulous. By sleeping with him. By framing me. Emma's eyes fill with tears, and for a moment, I see the woman I fell in love with. But the illusion shatters as she reaches for something on the desk. Before I can react, she's holding a gun, pointing it at me. Stay back, she warns, her voice trembling. I raise my hands, trying to stay calm. Emma, put the gun down. We can talk about this. No, we can't, she says, her voice breaking. It's too late. Just then, Greg and Laura burst into the room, their guns drawn. Drop it, Emma. Greg commands. Emma's eyes dart between us, panic setting in. I won't go to prison, she whispers, more to herself than to us. Emma, don't do this, I plead. Think about what you're doing. But it's too late. She makes a desperate move to fire, but Greg is faster. He shoots, and Emma collapses to the floor, the gun slipping from her hand. I rush to her side, my mind numb with shock. Emma, I whisper, tears streaming down my face. Why? She looks up at me, pain and regret in her eyes. I'm sorry, James, she says weakly. I never meant for it to end like this. Her eyes close, and I feel a part of me die with her. The woman I loved, the woman who betrayed me, is gone. In the aftermath, Greg and Laura handle the authorities, explaining everything. I'm left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. The truth about Emma's deception spreads quickly, and our story becomes a cautionary tale of love, betrayal, and revenge. Months pass, and I try to move on. The memories of Emma and the life we shared haunt me, but I know I can't let them define me. I leave the town where we built our life together, seeking a fresh start somewhere far away. As I drive away from the past, I reflect on the twisted path that brought me here. The ancient castle, the betrayal, the dangerous game, it's all behind me now. I vow to never let anyone hurt me like that again. In the end, Emma and I part forever, our love turned to ashes by deceit and hatred. The shadows of our past may linger, but I step into the future with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face whatever comes next. The castle, the betrayal, and the revenge are chapters of a story that will always be a part of me, but they no longer define me. As I drive into the unknown, I know that I am stronger for having survived it.